Miami Dolphins. The pressure, he's in trouble. Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jaelan, the Dolphin touchdown. Throwing deep upfield down the near side, man open. Touchdown! Looking deep, he's got it there. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it for a touchdown again. Touchdown! Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fire to the end zone. Touchdown! Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. 1, 2, 3, let's go!
All right, huddle up, huddle up. We're gonna crank these engines up on one. All right? Wait, 80. Wait, set. Drivers, start your engines!
This is the Finish Line.
I coached some great offensive linemen in the past. Larry Little, Dwight Stevenson, Jim Langer, all Hall of Famers. And Richmond Webb belongs to that same group.
Here are your hosts, legendary Miami Dolphins left tackle Richmond Webb, Reason, and Mr. BallGame.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one as we welcome you into the Finish Line as we get ready and we meet here, gentlemen, on yet another Victory Monday. The Dolphins are now 4-1 after TC being on Sunday. What does that mean? Taking care of business. All right, and now we up and. Hey, gentlemen, we are going into a game, though, that there's talent on both sides of the ball. Carolina, listen, do I think they stand a chance at home at the Rock? No. But you never know. Hey, this is one of those trap games everyone always asks us about every week, it feels like. And, hey, you know, I will say this. The Hard Rock is becoming one of the hardest stadiums to win at for road teams. I believe we're 15-2 over our last 17 games at home. Gentlemen, how are you feeling coming off a big win? And now as we meet on a Wednesday, really at the crux of that transitional point of going from the Giants victory to now the Carolina Panthers. How are y'all feeling, Richmond? How are you feeling, BallGame?
Good evening, gentlemen. I actually feel pretty good. You know, I think a lot of people was down a little bit last week, especially after the previous week. The way the team performed, and then to go up to Buffalo and they just didn't play what everybody was expecting. They just didn't play well. It's kind of it wasn't as bad as thought in some areas, but for the most part, as a team, they didn't perform the way that everybody was expecting. So I have watched the Giants the previous week, and when I saw them give up 11 sacks, I knew they had some issues in this. And I think we did what we were supposed to. Our defense exposed their offensive line weakness. I mean, for Daniel Jones, I think they gave up almost 20 sacks in 2 weeks, and that's bad. So I'm definitely glad we don't have that issue to deal with. And I also, you give, I think it was it was this week that I saw you give a shout out to Austin Jackson about, you know, how well he's been playing. I think everybody should be able to that, you know. The first few years was a little rough, this and that, but for him to come out and stay healthy and not only him, just the way the offensive line is performing overall. I mean, it's truly a difference when Connor Williams is at the center. And when you got a group like this, and even though Teron Armstead is out, you still feel confident going in the game, with those guys. So another great game, offensive, defensively. A couple of turnovers that I thought we could have avoided, but other than that, we got the win, which is important. Like you said, 4-1 going into, you've got a quarter of the season done, and we're sitting in a really good spot. We just got to continue taking one game at a time. But I'll be heading down this weekend, so I'll be at the Panthers game. So hopefully I get a chance to see a few people and stuff like that and have a good time. It ain't nothing like being at Hard Rock Stadium, so I'm looking forward to it.
Man, I'll be the first. Make sure I'm on. Be the first to tell you, a win is always good for morale. A win is always good for ensuring that this team is moving in the right direction and they're not taking a step back. I think hats off to Vic, because if you really break the game down, the defense really only gave up 9 points. And that's a stark difference between what we've seen over the past couple of weeks. And we're yelling and screaming about defense. And the Giants were a really good opponent that we could go out there and experiment with some things and do some things well to build some positive momentum. So happy, extremely happy right now where we are. The injury bug always seems to show up, unfortunately. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But, it is what it is. I think we're built to sustain and still be able to accomplish what we need to accomplish, based on where the roster sits. So it's good. It's a good time right now. So
Knight says if the refs weren't blind, no pick six, big surprise. And they're talking about obviously the play before the pick six. It was a clear DPI on Jaelan Waddle that was not called. Like Deontay Banks didn't even turn his head. It was evident. Listen, I know you're going over the sack numbers and such. Richmond, the reason why I'm not doing listen, I see people on Twitter, and I love Dolphins Twitter, a big part of the Dolphins Twitter community, been one of the OGs, whatever now, I guess, all this jazz. But here's my thing. I'm not about here to throw defensive stats and numbers right now because come on, they're so inflated. We were clearly padding the stats in terms of pressures and sacks against, we were under the third center at one point. Like Wilkins was absolutely dominating that poor kid. It wasn't even close. And let's be honest, what are we sitting here bragging about? It's not like we were this. Didn't Seattle have like 11 or 12 sacks against them?
Yeah.
It's not like we put out double digits here. So a lot of our stuff is inflated right now. But I will say there were things to take away in terms of, I think now fans see, and albeit it was against a bad team, but if you can do it against good teams, my point still stands. Now fans see how important it is we get that 4-man rush rolling for this defense to do what it's got to do from the front to the back. Now y'all got a little taste of why it's so evident. It's obviously never going to be as dominant as it was at times as the Giants, but and you know what I like too? You saw Banjo sprinkling in a little he was blitzing a little bit more. He was manufacturing it a little bit more for his guys at times too. Mm-hmm. And you saw him, he smelt the blood in the water. And, so I did see some positives to take away from that sense. You know what I mean? Yeah. Those are the things that I take away. I'm like, okay, I like what I saw in that sense. I'm not going to sit here and start throwing stats in people's face after we just padded our stats against arguably one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen since Tua's early career in Miami. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about it. All right. So anyways, gentlemen, let's not hesitate. Let's not wait a step. The big news today, obviously for everyone, I mean, we knew he was going to miss time. We knew he was going to miss weeks, but now the news comes out today, gentlemen, that Devin Achane has been moved to the injured reserve. What does this mean? Well, what this means for everyone is that he can't come back until what is it? It's right after the Chiefs, right? It's the Chiefs game.
Week 11.
Yeah, week 11. I think this would.
Yeah. But then our bye week is week 10. So the outlook is you're not going to see him till week 11. if I remember the timeline correctly. He can be activated against the Chiefs, but you're probably not going to see him until week 11. That's what. Right. So I mean, because they're probably not going to have him travel all the way to freaking Frankfurt for a hot dog and a freaking football game. You know what I mean? So, gentlemen, I mean, we didn't really talk about it backstage, but I've talked about it up here multiple times now since we heard yesterday that this could be the deal. Listen, Jeff Wilson Jr. is now coming off. He's been activated. He practiced today. He's been activated in that 21-day window. Salvon Ahmed it can come back. Here's my thing, gentlemen. Not only do I think they're going to be rusty, we know what they are. You want to get Hefe involved, I'm down with Jeff Wilson. But what I said yesterday and what I'll keep repeating is if you look at whether he was tasked at running the football against the Denver Broncos or whether he was asked to block from a wing-back, tight end, or fullback position against past week against the Giants, I think Chris Brooks deserves to be rewarded with more snaps. I also think, he's not rusty. He's not rusty. He's in game shape. He's getting more acclimated and more comfortable in this offense. Look at the things they're asking him to do right now. Stuff you're not going to ask Salvon Ahmed or Jeff Wilson to do what you're asking Chris Brooks to do right now. Thank you very much. I think that versatility is irreplaceable. I like what they're doing with them right now. What's your guys' thoughts moving forward with Devin Achane? Because, gentlemen, the crazy thing is this kid could come back in week 11 and over the last 6 weeks of the season put up another, 700 yards on the ground at the pace he was going at. So where are you guys at on this? Because, man, you know what? Listen, do I think we have the weapons to replace him? Listen, you can't replace that explosiveness and that dynamic playmaking ability he has. But we've got other playmakers and explosive players in that building that I think can make up for the loss to a sense in terms of Mostert and such. But, that's another layer, gentlemen. That's another layer to our great offense we've watched gone. What are you guys thinking when you see Devon Achane go to the IR? Let's start with his Texas A&M Aggie alum, Richmond Webb. How are you feeling when you see this man go?
Yeah, I think the thing that caught me by surprise is, when the reports started coming out about a knee injury, I never saw he got hurt in the game Sunday. So, main thing I was hoping it wasn't, too serious, which, injury reserve is a little different now versus when I played. If you went on injury reserve, you were on for the year. But for him to be able to, come back week 11, I think the thing I try to look at is getting a guy, like you said, Chris Brooks, more reps, more repetition for him in the offense. And not that he can do the same thing that Achane can do, but you can do some things with him that forces defenses to prepare for that. And then when Achane comes back, you got him. And then I expect Moser to get more of the workload now that Achane is out. So this is an opportunity, if you're a guy that's not playing, is to maximize opportunity to say, hey, know your assignments, this and that, and go out and be productive. And I think Chris Brooks, what we've asked him to do so far, been blocking. There's a couple of running plays he had or whatever. So like you say, he's in game shape. He's not rusty, this and that. This is your time to shine. This is your time to get something on tape where they can say, hey, this is definitely a guy we won in the draft by bringing this guy in and that. So you never want to see your starters or like you say, the explosive plays that Achane provides for this offense, but guys gonna have to pick up the pieces. The good thing is that it's just for like 4 weeks. So it's a similar situation to Ron Armstead. Guys stepped up in that position. And I think Brooks and the rest of the running backs, they'll step up. And it won't be the same, but I think we can get by until it gets.
That's the play where he got hurt.
Oh, he put all his weight on.
See how they land. Damn. Oh, yeah, he put all of his weight.
Yeah.
You can watch it one more time, slow motion.
Yeah.
Watch. Catches him from behind, and then boom. That's the play where he got hurt. So, I mean, it just sucks, man, especially that, and he did come back in for a play. I don't know if you saw, but he came in after it, eh? He came in after this injury, lined up in the slot. but that is the play that he got injured on. So, yeah, just so because I know you said you hadn't seen the play, Richmond, so I wanted to show you that play.
Yeah,
so.
I couldn't tell where it was. Yeah, but I see what you're talking about, the guy.
Yeah.
Put all
They
your
said
weight
he
on
was
somebody
limping
like
around,
that.
and they said he was limping around a little gingerly today in the locker room. So it doesn't sound like it's going to be some serious surgery here or anything like that. You know what I mean?
It could be a strained ligament or something. You know, just don't actually tell you what it is, or they didn't say it's like meniscus where you get scoped. You can come back in that amount of time.
And what if they're playing the numbers game right now,
require surgery.
Richmond? Remember, before this injury, they were able to activate Wilson into his 21-day window last week, and they decided not to. It wasn't until Achane got injured that they said, okay, well, just throw him on IR because we can get that roster spot open for 4 weeks and activate this guy. It looks like they're playing the game a little bit too. Obviously, you should. I'm not saying that you should play the game. Don't let the game play you, right? So, I get what they're doing. But, it makes sense. You know what I mean? Let him get, even if it's going to be 2 weeks, give him that extra time, right? Don't activate him. Maybe you can get Hefe's value up, and you can move him for something. What are you thinking, BallGame? Because, man, I'm going to say this, man. Me and Martin talked about this yesterday. We broke down the show.
Easy.
We're going to be watching him every week. I'm sorry, man. When you get that explosive of excited, a guy who's like Chris Johnson meets like Warwick Dunn meets Barry Sanders. I mean, it's good. It's going to be, less exciting not watching him on the field, BallGame.
Yeah, I was overly I think last week I mentioned I was concerned about when you asked the question about the RB1 job and things, and I was like, just bring him along, and then you have your mix of different things going in. But he had a lot of touches in that game too, and then unfortunately, down injury bug, by a dirty play came and knocking on the door and gonna take him away from us for a couple of weeks. But I think they built the depth of this team enough to be able to sustain it, and the games coming up, I don't think the run game will be an integral piece to our success, of course. But I think with Fangio probably rounding the corner and building some confidence in his defense, that's what's going to help sustain us as well. Because Philly doesn't look that great. I think the Panthers will compete, but that should be a victory as well. And then
it should be.
When we take out the goal.
I just don't want to say I expect 5-1 BallGame because I feel like I'm overlooking that. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. I expect it, but I don't want to say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think we on the same page with that. I just think when you look at where we are and what's supposed to happen, these guys didn't do they didn't do what they normally do, which is play down to the level of the competition. They went out there, pinned their ears back, and just handled business. It is a punch in the face for me as a defensive guy to know that another team got more sacks than we did with our guys. But at the same time, I'm still liking what I see up front from the guys, and I tell you, man, AVG is making it hard for some people.
Let me run you by something. I was talking to someone connected to the team. Let me look. Well, I talked to someone, and then I ran this by someone connected to the team, and they liked it. And I talked to someone, and they ran it by me, and I ran it by someone. Anyways, let me hear what you think about this. So, what would you think about this? You take AVG and Phillips, and then on third, and you move Chubb to the bench, and then on third downs and known pass rush situations, that's when you take Phillips off and you put Chubb in, and you keep AVG in on the other side, and that's how you rotate Phillips and Chubb on the other side of AVG because him and Javon Holland was back to being what he is because Deshaun Elliott was back clearly. Good luck, Brandon Jones, and getting an extension or winning that battle. But, what would you think about doing that? Because AVG right now, he's making every rep count, and that's probably the best way to rotate Chubb and Phillips on the other side. No, because I want to see Phillips and AVG. That's what I'm looking to see.
Yeah, I think a real steady rotation that's going to play to the strengths of each of these guys is something that Vic can take advantage of. I mean, AVG gives you a bit of everything, though. He's got great get off. He's got, he's got really, really great hands in terms of violent hands. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get much of him. The tackle's not going to really be able to get a whole lot of hands on. That's one of the things that I think Phillips can take away from him. Chubb, on the other hand, is trying to go with old school tactics that's just not working. Like, you just got to go ahead and chalk that up and figure out another way to find another way around the most tackles, because they're walling them off with one hand and then riding them and then just basically just sending them on his way. You got to be able to figure that out. That's not happening. When you see them flip-flop and you see AVG go over there, guys legitimately have to bend at the hips. They have to bend at the knees to get down to the level at which he's bending to get around and under them to get to the quarterback. And maybe just, I don't know what Chubb sustained in terms of injury, but I know the AVG's flexibility and Phillips' flexibility, they fall along the same suits. When you got teams that have way more athletic tackles, those would be the guys that I'd have in those positions going after those tackles, because Chubb's just giving up too much of his body to be able to be effective. And the rotation piece, if the tackle is stuck in mud, then he might be able to win those battles. But the guys that are a little more athletic, I don't see him winning those, bro. And he hasn't proven that he can. But Phillips, there's only a couple different things that Phillips needs to add to his repertoire, and he and AVG will be par for par. But that's it. That's it. You got to find his signature move. But AVG seems to go, what I'm saying? I don't know where he got him from, but he's pulling out all sorts of moves to be able to get to the quarterback, and he's getting there and finishing, man. That's the biggest piece. He's not getting there and pulling up. He's following through the correct way, what I'm saying? No flags.
They're going to wish they paid. They're going to wish they paid that guy and not Chubb, and AVG would have cost a whole hell of a lot more. Franklin Higgs says, reason I know it's early in the season, but now listen, Franklin, this is where I'm at. I would be getting a game plan together where you're moving off X, you're moving off Jerome, you're moving off Christian. I'm letting you walk for that compensatory pick, because I'd be trying to bring back Austin, Hunt, Connor, Wynn, and Lamb. I'd try to be bringing back all five. Right now, the most important thing we've seen for this offense and for this team to work at the rate we needed to work at is you got to keep him upright and that jersey clean, the whitest of whites. And to me, that's the move right now. All these guys. And I would, you know what? You're onto something too, Franklin, because the longer you wait, the higher that price is going up, because me and Martin are raving about him every week. I mean, I think I sent it to Richmond too. One of those plays where we highlighted on that, what was it, the Jaelan Waddle screen, I believe it was, where he got out in front of Jaelan Waddle and got up the field. I'm like, what is this right here, man? And, I'm just saying, I told y'all, poor man's Trent Williams. That's what all the traits were. What all the traits were, with the feet, the athleticism. Yeah. But now you're seeing the violent hands are coming. And once he gets that upper strength and that anchor, oh boy.
People give time.
And coaching.
Grow into his man body.
Let's give Butch Berry that.
And coaching.
Let's give Butch Berry his dabs too.
That's the big piece.
People tried to scare us off Butch Berry like he didn't know what he was doing. Maybe these people didn't know what they were writing about.
But the number said otherwise. The number said otherwise, though.
Yeah, man. The
number said that the guy knew what he was doing.
Yeah. Speaking of pass block win rates and such, we forgot to go it over last week, so I had to go over on Friday with everyone, gentlemen. I got to make this a part of our segment because Richmond's over here, so he appreciates this kind of stuff. When we talk about the Miami Dolphins right now, okay, we've gone from 1 to 3 in pass pro. I'm taking it. When you take a compository score between PFF grade, our grade on Sports Info Solutions, and our pass block win rate with ESPN, we are third in the NFL right now from an analytical standpoint. So, and then to add on to that, gentlemen, we ain't done. I had to show it because we finally did it. We are officially on a compository score level, top 15 run blocking team as well, for between PFF Sports Info Solutions and ESPN's run block win rate.
Not bad. Not bad.
So what? How are y'all feeling, gentlemen? We went from the depths of Flores trying to figure it out, and Lemieux Jean-Pierre saying, "Oh, well, if I just worse at moving the guard," and all of us going, "Oh my God, these guys don't know what they're talking about." To now we're top 15 run blocking team, top 3, not just top 5, top 3 pass pro team. What a time to be alive. How you feeling, Richmond? When you see that, does your
feel
heart
good.
flutter a little bit? Does your heart flutter just a tad?
Yeah, I mean, when you find the two scores, you definitely in the top 10, top third of the league, and even a little bit higher than that. So for them to make a dramatic jump like they did, and the guys playing the way they're playing, and they've really, been consistent. It hadn't been like one game way up, one game down. They've been really consistent. Like you said, Austin Jackson has been balling out. You watch him, his hands are aggressive, and he was always athletic, run like a deer, this and that. He's almost like a D lineman the way he kind of moves and this and that. So, for him to be that athletic, and you see him really get out the guys and a little physicality with him, you can't help but love that. So, and if you really look at it, I don't know how much he weighs, but typically your right tackles are a lot bigger than that. And I mean, but he hadn't had no problems anchoring or anything. So I think he's at a good weight. And, I think he feels good at the weight they got assigned, playing and this and that. But no, he is, I'm definitely happy for him and Hunt, Connor, straight across the board. Those guys are balling. So I think they bought in and they've kind of gelled and came together. And then if we get that on the other side of the ball, where we can get a little bit more pass rush, like y'all talking about earlier, where, rush, where you can create pressure with just rushing forward, changes the game. But now offensively, I have no complaints. I think everybody's happy. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So I'm happy.
I'm happy for the young man. It's been a long time coming, man. There were points where we were watching video and film on him, man. He couldn't even finish it because it was so bad. But this is one of those stories, man, where you just never, as a coach, just takes me back to see a kid, you see a lot of potential, but you just don't see it early, and then you don't give up on them, and then they wind up surprising you, and it becomes a real story, that you can continue to talk about and be proud of, that you waited for them to actually show you what you felt they had all along inside of them. And I'm just happy for him, and I'm happy for the success the team is having, built around this offensive line that we've been waiting on to be able to protect Tua. Yeah. These are the things that, when you sit around and you talk about football and you talk about teams and loving your squad, man, if you've been through the lows of the lows, and you get to a point where you can actually stick your head up and breathe the fresh air and just say, you know what, it's a good place to be right now, because they're thriving, they're still growing, they're young enough to be able to understand the importance of what it is they're doing, and they're playing for each other, and you can see it on Sundays that they're holding each other accountable, man. And we are right smack dab in the middle of some very good Dolphin football. For once, I feel like when the kickoff happens, I feel like, man, it's worth watching. Right? You don't want to miss anything. Don't want to get up to go to the bathroom. Don't want to miss a play, because everything is just so exciting, man. And that's just a good space to be in. And these guys are rewarding us, man, for believing in them. Hunt's always done his thing, but we just, as true fans, stay patient, hoping that the vision will be recognized, and that somebody could come in.
Look how dominant we were in the screen game, ball game. Like, just look at
crazy.
How dominant they were. Like,
remember what I said last week, though? How do you slow down a dominant D line? I said it.
Yep.
You gotta screen them. Gotta screen them. And they did it.
Executed like it was on point. Like that's what I'm saying. If you bring these guys all back, listen. I think to an extent, Fangio wants to build that interior defensive line, that interior linebacker core a little bit more. So you might as well bring these guys back on the offensive line, and another year under this coaching, I think you're going to see another big leap for this line. You know what I mean? So they're only going to get better. And then you bring Kendall Lamb back as your insurance policy in case you're dealing with Taron Armstead. Because, gentlemen, think about this. Not only can we say the Dolphins don't look like they've hit their stride on both sides of the ball at the same time yet. We know that's coming at some point, but I'll take it right when we get to the playoffs. Thank you very much. Anyways, I digress. We are still going to get Jalen Ramsey back. We're going to get Taron Armstead back. We're going to get Devin Achane back. We're going to get Nick Needham back. We're getting, like, those first three names, especially difference makers, are still going to be added to this roster. And yet alone, who knows what we do at the trade deadline. So it's it's an exciting time to be a Dolphin fan. That's for sure. Every day is a beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. But I gotta ask you guys, I don't know if you saw it, but gentlemen, did Dolphins on Twitter force Kyle Brandt to clarify and basically apologize to them when he talked his smack about us? Sounded like a major apology and backpedaled to me is what it sounded like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Gentlemen,
I don't want
talking about the power of
more smoke. I don't want any more smoke.
Yeah. No, I was talking about the Dolphins offense, but I was really talking about them sitting across the table from me. Okay. Okay. Listen, I got maybe that could be just because he we were his Super Bowl after he saw what they did to Jacksonville, and he saw that we ended up in the AFC East, first place of the AFC East by the end of the weekend, not them. All right. And wait till we do. Listen, they lost. I don't know if you saw it. They lost Matt Milano. Big time, broke his leg, and he may have an ACL injury too as well. So, and they lost Tre'Davious White previously to that. So they're banged up right now. This could be a point where
to a better guy.
Now.
He hurt too last year. That's what you get.
Hey.
We didn't let you explain, bro. We riding with you, dog.
I also ain't trying to get involved in any of that talk. My quarterback's healthy right now. It's week 6. I ain't trying to go down that, all right? So I'm just playing the straight and narrow with this right now, okay? Anyways, so I thought that was pretty funny that pretty much you got an apology. But another thing I want to talk to you guys, there was check this out. The backpedaling we talk about Tua. There was a guy on Twitter today who's really involved in the analytical side of Twitter and such, and this is what he tweeted out today. And just remember, who are the 2 quarterbacks who have really, really, other than Mahomes, probably been the best 2 in the league so far? Brock Purdy and Tua Tagovailoa, right? So remember that when I read this. When I read this to you, remember that. Keep that in mind. We're getting to the point where we might need 2 separate ways to rank quarterbacks. How well you execute the offense you're currently in, and how well you do if you're dropped into any system in the NFL. The first one is easy to measure with EPA, which is expected points added, yards per attempt, etc. And the second one is more difficult, but that would smooth over some of the disconnect in quarterback rankings. And the analytic guy who posted this is a known Tua hater. And are we getting to the point now, gentlemen, where the efficiency of Tua Tagovailoa and guys like Brock Purdy, because they all thought the pocket quarterback, remember they were trying to sell to us years ago, the pocket quarterback's dead, remember? Yeah, now that the pocket quarterback is alive and well and efficient as hell, didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did. Thank you very much. How are you feeling that it's in break? Sarcasm. How are y'all feeling? How are y'all feeling that now, guys, their algorithms are getting messed up? Quarterbacks are outshining the big blue-eyed guys with the big arms. How are y'all feeling now that you see analytic guys basically scrambling because guys like Tua Tagovailoa and Brock Purdy, who are so efficient in the pocket, are just screwing everything up? BallGame.
I think the one thing that has never gone away for me in terms of football is the need for efficiency. And when they had guys like Michael Vick and Robert Griffin and all these guys that can move and do things outside the pocket, most of these guys that are talking about how effective a quarterback can be and this stuff, they got enamored with all the other physical traits that these guys have without looking at how effective they are inside of the pocket running their offenses. From that's the primary space. All the other athletic stuff that you do, that's just bells and whistles added on to the top of it. At the end of the day, if you're not able to command the offense from inside of the pocket, then what does that make you? That just makes you an athlete playing quarterback. You know what I'm saying? The guys that we're talking about, these 2 in particular, Purdy, who was not highly drafted, right? And then Tua, who was, but had the unfortunate injury that set him back. These guys have always been effective at the number one part of their job, which is efficiency at the quarterback position. At every level, they've done that, and they proved that. So, he's talking about trying to go to this different matrix. All he's trying to do is basically butter up the story or make the story or the narrative that they pushed out here, make it relevant so that people don't look at them as if they don't know what the hell they're talking about. At the end of the day, there's always going to be a need for quarterback efficiency, and the guys that do it the best are the guys that are going to thrive. Now, Tua's not the most, obviously, he's not the fastest guy, but he's mobile enough to be able to get out of the pocket, and he can do a lot of amazing things out of the pocket, and Purdy can too. So the quarterbacks or the offensive coordinator that they have are smart enough. This is what we got to get the credit at. These offensive coordinators, yes, it's a system, but they're also smart enough to play to the strengths of their quarterbacks and not just keep them systemized. They expand the system to showcase the overall best talents that their quarterbacks have. And if the quarterback doesn't have those things, they can
amplify the strength,
exactly.
mask the weaknesses. That's what you build it. Like every quarterback is a system quarterback in the NFL. That's why it's the most dumbest argument to have, because every good offensive mind will build their system to their quarterback's strengths and avoid the weaknesses. Yeah, like it's the dumbest argument people can have, man.
The guys out here that's really just trying to cover his ass. Really, he's just really trying to cover his ass because he jumped out there and said things about these guys that they couldn't do, as opposed to just looking at and appreciating what they actually have as their superpowers and making a statement about that. The whole conversation could have been well more, received and taken if they had just go with the truth of the matter and leave your bias out of it. Fact of the matter is, right, for as athletically gifted as Lamar Jackson is, he still struggles at throwing into different areas of the field. How do you fix that? You watch him struggle on Sunday with Pittsburgh, not allowing him to get out and run. They took away that superpower from him, and he couldn't make the throws. You see what I'm saying? There's always a way for you to be able to say, "Oh, that's the guy that's the way that the game is going. He's the prototype for that." But an athlete playing quarterback is never going to be able to, in my opinion, remove the desire or the need to have a quarterback that's athletic.
Yeah.
Simple and plain, and there's a scale for the athletic part, but as long as the guy's able to,
you'd rather want an deadly and efficient quarterback that can extend plays rather than an athletic guy, who can run around the football field, but in the pocket, it's like, hey, you don't know what you're getting, right? You don't know what's getting out of bed that Sunday. Right?
Exactly.
We've seen it all, right? What do you think of this, Richmond? Because it just sounded like that was a long tweet about a guy just not wanting to admit his analytics and everything he was doing was wrong, and so was his.
That's exactly what it was. And you got to own it. If you right, I got to know what you right. But if you're wrong, you got to be man enough to say, hey, I missed it. I was wrong about this. But talking about changing the analytics, it's just like it's not even a player. It's even like an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. You got to know your analytics to say, okay, I think the offensive coordinator is going to do this, so I'm going to present this defense. If it's wrong, it's going to be exposed. So, hey, sometimes you ain't going to win them all. And just like the other guy that kept talking about this is not an apology. So I'm like, bro, stop. If you come out to that 305, come out to the Dolphin fans now, you learn just like, Chris Sims, whatever. If you keep popping off at the mouth, they're gonna bring it to you. He couldn't handle that heat, talking about his family getting threats and all that. Bro, please stop. They've been giving you that work and you could handle it. It's just you sometimes you gotta call it like it is. You ain't gotta, hey man, my bad. Y'all leave them Dolphins alone. I got 31 other teams I can talk about. Leave them fish alone down there. Them people don't play down there. And that's all it is. That's the same way with this guy here. He trying to say a smart way that, maybe we need to change the analytics. No, maybe you need to change the analytics and get it right instead of just getting it. It's just that simple. It's just, man, stop, bro. Yeah, it's that it. And, you're a ball game, hit all the points. I ain't going to keep going over that. But I was just like, man, some of these people make you pick your head and just say, bro, just own it. Just like you stood on it when you was right, stand on it when you was wrong. It's just that simple.
Exactly.
So,
that's it.
Yeah,
I agree. Gentlemen, speaking of, let's transition a little bit here. Speaking of Tua Tagovailoa, are you feeling like, as we get into the Carolina Panthers here, Are you getting a sense that people are kind of treating the whole situation between there's parallels between Bryce Young right now, young Bryce Young in Carolina, and what Tua was dealing with early on instead of, in terms of like, his best weapon is a broken down older Adam Thielen. You know what I mean? You see a team that's really not good yet. And, you see the media, you see fans kind of down on him, kind of underselling him when you do see a lot of good things. I mean, McDaniel talked about how high level of a processor he is. Do you guys see parallels between Tua's early on career and the way Bryce Young is being handled right now?
To be honest with you, I think a lot. Oh, you want to take it, Richmond?
No. Go ahead. I'll follow out to you. Go ahead.
All right. To be honest, man, I think it's an unfair situation that a lot of these quarterbacks come in. A lot of that comes directly from where they came from, right? So Bryce was so highly successful at Alabama, just like Tua was, that the eyes and the expectations of these kids is so high in the scale that they're being judged upon is against guys that have been 7-8 years in the league and established. And you coming in as a rookie trying to match up against those expectations, it's just unrealistic, and I don't, obviously we went through the whole process of being impatient, or our fan base did, being impatient with Tua and things of this nature. But if I had to tell them anything, man, just exercise a level of patience and understanding, because he is still a very young quarterback who has a ton of potential, but you just don't even have all of the pieces around him yet for him to be truly successful. You still haven't figured out his protections up front. You still haven't figured out who he's going to be actually giving the ball to, because you went out and moved pieces around. But the guy that could have stayed there, right, for you, traded him away to be able to go up to get the guy that you took, right? DJ Moore is up there with Fields now. You know what I'm saying? And that would have been the best piece, and you could have possibly moved something else to still be able to get up there to go get your quarterback. But patience. That's what it's going to come down to. Your offensive coordinator still is trying to figure out his strengths and weaknesses, still trying to figure out his offensive line strengths and weaknesses. The running back, Sanders, is cool, but he's undersized to be able to carry a load consistently of 25, 30 carries a game, which is what you're going to need to be able to beat a lot of the better teams, because you got to convince guys that you have the ground game to be able to allow Bryce the time to be able to do the play action stuff, to be able to see down the field, because you got to move the pocket for him. They haven't been able to do any of that, right? I think he's going to be successful at some point, but it's a process, and they just got to be patient, man. They have to exercise the same level of patience that we were going back and forth with our fans about. It's a time, right? You got Burns over there. The defense is almost ready, right? You got Derek Brown up front. You got Burns at linebacker. You know what I'm saying? You got some young talent in the back end, but they still don't have, outside of Shaq. That boy name, the linebacker that they have.
No, I know he's Shaq Thompson.
They got one linebacker. They got Shaq Thompson. So you got Shaq Thompson, you got Brian Burns, and you got Derek Brown up front. Outside of that, the rest of the guys are still trying to figure out. Gross Matos has never amounted into what he was expected to be. Henderson, Jackson, and
is JC Horn back?
Oh, you know what I'm saying?
Is JC Horn back?
There you go. JC Horn. Yeah.
And they got Jeremy Chin.
I don't think he's back yet. They got Jeremy Chin. Yeah. So they have the guys. It's just that none of them are ever available at the exact same time, because for either the injuries or this, that, and the other, and all of the turnover. But they just got to exercise some patience, right? The NFL is nothing remotely close to being an overnight. You can't be an overnight success in the NFL, because that you can flash 1 week, the next week you right back to ground zero again, and you see it all the time, right? It's consistency. They got to find a level of consistency that they can afford to be able to be okay with, and say, you know what, this is where we are. This is where we got to get to. Just adding a young new quarterback to that mix of hodgepodge that you got going on over on offense is just not going to work. He's talented, but he's not that talented. And even if he was, you still don't have enough to be able for them to be over the top successful. It's just not going to happen. So,
what do you think, Richmond? I mean, you watched a lot of Bryce because your Texas A&M Aggies were in the SEC, so you saw Bryce a lot.
Saw him a lot, watched him a lot of games. I think it's the system they come out of, and I think anytime, I'm gonna say easily, you're a top 5 pick, if you're a top 5 pick, you're one of the best players in the league, but you're going to probably one of the worst teams in the league the previous year. And I think that's what fans don't process. You look at the college highlights. You look at Bryce Young when he was at Alabama, the way he was moving the pocket, this and that. Well, at one time, you look at the receivers, you look at the running back, you look at everything. He had everything there. So you look at that and then you say, okay, we get him. He's the number 1 pick and he's going to fix everything. And it just doesn't work that way. And I think even with say like Brock Purdy, I think the reason he had success, it was a later pick, but he went to a team that was already established, had a really good defense, had Deebo Samuels, young players. If you got talent, you insert somebody in a system like that, it'll make it seem like it's almost like an overnight success. But he made smart decisions. He had a little time to watch Garoppolo. Trey Young got hurt, so when he stepped in, he made the most of his opportunity. But it shows he's really a really good quarterback. But he didn't have to go through that process of, well, I need to get receivers to get a running back. I need to build this and that. And I think that's what Tua had to go through. That's what Bryce Young, if they surround him with what he needs, he's going to be a really good quarterback. And that's it. But I think fans look at the highlights and say, oh, yeah, he won a national championship at Alabama. You can throw this. So, yeah, you look at it, but a lot of those guys are first-round picks too. So it's not apples to apples. And I think
another big factor here too is when you look at Tua, you look at what Herbert did after him, and with Young, people are looking what CJ Stroud is doing in Houston. And he was picked after him, right? So that's why people are looking at what CJ Stroud. I mean, CJ Stroud looks like the best processor that's come out of Ohio State in I don't know how long, right?
Yeah,
he looks
but
good. Look at the line they have in front of him, right? Like, look at the line they have.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
They built a wall.
Yeah.
Kenyon Green.
Listen, now his receivers are but they went out and got Dalton Schultz at tight end for him, and Damian Pierce is better.
They got a dog at running back.
They
got a dog at running back.
Damian Pierce.
The kid.
He'll tote that rock 27, 28 times a game.
He's better than exactly.
Sanders can't give you that.
No, I agree. Panthers owner is the problem too, because it came out that the Panthers owner is meddling and stuff like that. All right, so gentlemen, Jeff Wilson Jr. and Phillips returned to practice today. Claypool had his first practice with Miami today. Connor Williams and Ingold missed today's session. What are your thoughts and predictions heading into the Carolina Panthers game, knowing all of that? Let's start with you, Richmond. Where are you at heading into this game?
Heading into this game, I think the Dolphins are the better team. Just, look at it across the board. Offensively, I think we've been pretty consistent, other than the Buffalo game. As far as points scored, this and that, explosive plays, this and that. And I see things no different. I think we're going to go out and we're going to take care of business this week. Are you looking for a score prediction right now? I can go ahead and get it. We've been averaging easily somewhere probably around 35 points. So I'll say 35-17. Dolphins win. We go to 5-1. You're going
to be down there. It's the fan weekend, right?
It is fan weekend. Also, I think they're going to present. Well, I guess I can tell you.
Zach Thomas, right?
They're going to present Zach Thomas with his Hall of Fame ring. So we'll be in our aqua blazers or whatever. So be a lot of aqua. Big Daddy gonna have that aqua blazer on. So I shouldn't be too hard to find in that aqua. Y'all be looking for them. But it's gonna be a good weekend. I can see a lot of my teammates and this and that and then enjoy victory and all that. So definitely looking forward to it.
Let me ask you this: how's the spread in the box that they put you in? They get good food spread out there, or they give you like little weenies and buns, or what do they give you?
It's like wings most of the time, nachos. maybe hot dogs, chili dogs, something like that. It ain't the top, but hey, you're gonna eat, have a little popcorn and beer, sodas. They ain't got the hard stuff, but hey, when you ain't paying the beggar, sometimes can't be choosy. You gotta say, I sure appreciate
That it is.
it.
That it is. Ball game. What are your thoughts on this game? Let's pray Connor Williams was just a veteran rest day. What's your thoughts on this game? What are your predictions heading into Carolina?
Well, we're clearly the better team right now, and I don't think anybody doubts that. I think it's very important that these guys go out and do exactly what they did last week, not playing down to the level of the competition. I think that Carolina, right, will come out and do their best to compete, which is what you always want. But at the end of the day, I see us putting up, and Mike keeps things really respectful, right? He's not at a point. I don't think after that 70-point game, I don't think he's going to go out and look to embarrass anyone, and he understands kind of where Carolina is in their process. So when we get up and we get up good on them, I think he'll just put things on cruise control. But by that point, I think it'll be probably something close to like maybe 42-10 is what I'm gonna call, and then just get your other guys in and let them get some good work. Chase Claypool, he's got to get acclimated. We got to go.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see explosion for a couple weeks. You know what I'm saying?
Nah. But him being actively engaged in some small things here and there to get his feet wet, or it will be a good thing for him. This will be the game to get it right,
Yeah.
And then just keep doing what we're doing in terms of execution in the run game, and giving Vic another chance to be creative with the defense. If Phillips is back, we might actually get that package of AVG and Phillips at the edges. You know what I'm saying? And then Chubb can watch how the young boy do it, and maybe that reignite his fire or something, because he needs something going on right now. Because otherwise, he's a dud right now. But yeah, I'm going 42-10, man. Mike's a class act guy. He don't want to have to deal with another spectacle of people wondering why he out there running up the score in this professional football game. So, they're gonna give the fans what they want, which is the W. I do believe we'll get that. It'll be a sound victory. I just pray that we come away with minimum injuries or minimum things to set back the progress that we have, and 5-1 will look really nice. So,
I mean, it's weird because you look around ball game and you just said 5-1 will be nice, and I just feel like a lot of fans aren't appreciating where this team is at just because of that fiasco in Buffalo, right? And man, if we start off 5-1 ball game, that'll be the first time since 2002, and those same 2002 Dolphins finished 9-7. So
9-7.
You know what I mean? So I don't see a repeat of that. But I've warned people, we're 5-1. That stretch we're going to enter, Philly, New England, the Chiefs. Man, if let's say Belichick finally gets his win, because nothing lasts forever, he's going to eventually win. I mean, you could very well come out of that 5-4 if you get caught sleeping on that stretch, right? Like that stretch is
can't afford to get your eyes off the wheel.
Well, I really think that's our toughest stretch remaining when you look at our schedule, right? And I'm going to preach this until that stretch is done. So, and hey, it's
gotta treat every week like it's a playoff game.
Yeah, and really so, because listen, 15-2 at the last 17 at Rock. What does that tell you? You need at least that first home round. You need at least that first round at home. You know what I'm saying? You need at least that first round at home. So, and right now, you can make up ground. We're about to enter this 3-game streak, but with the injuries stacking up on that Bills defense, it feels like this is where you can start to make up some ground that could count when you face them in Week 18 at the Rock. I'm just saying, this feels like that time, man. So, hey, it all comes down to what we've seen a lack of at certain times, especially on the defensive side: execution. We go out and execute, this team's going to be okay, even without Achane. I mean, guys, I'm looking right now. Smash the over on Chris Brooks for any time touchdown score or 2 touchdown score when he comes available. I'm telling you, man, because I got a feeling he's going to be handed the rock just based off the rust of Jeff Wilson and Salvin Ahmed potentially coming back, and we kind of already know what Salvin Ahmed is.
He's earned it though.
I agree. I think Jeff Wilson's the only one due to money and his relationship with McDaniel and knowing of the offense. I think he's the only one to threaten potentially Chris Brooks. But if we didn't have Jeff Wilson right now, it'd be the Chris Brooks and Raheem Mostert show. And bro, listen, ball game. This is the game to see it. I mean, I even talked about it, on my takeaways. I think Cam Smith should have had more reps this past week, not just 14 special teams reps. Again, Carolina, that's the game to see it. Like, we're getting opportunity to see what these young kids have, use them, because you might find some more diamonds in the rough heading into these games when we need them. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? So,
yeah,
I appreciate
all
all
make things
y'all.
a lot easier for them.
Go ahead.
If it was me, I'd go into this game. I'd go with X on Thielen, and then I'd let Cam take DJ Chark, and I'd let him eat. Just let him learn, because Thielen is a little too crafty, but X takes away Thielen completely, and then what do they have left?
If Chark puts up 100, you're still winning this game, right? Like,
for sure.
Chark puts up 100 on game, you're still winning this game.
But it's good reps for your youngster.
Exactly. Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back tomorrow around 5 p.m. with Neil Driscoll for another episode of Fin Too Deep. We're going to be talking a lot of Chase Claypool tomorrow, so be sure to tune in. Good stuff. Always me and Neil. Appreciate all y'all for tuning in, and then I'll be live on Friday for the game preview between the Panthers and the Dolphins. Appreciate each and every one of you coming through. You already know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Take it easy, everyone.